Well, I lived in an house right alongside the sea. A friend of my mother's once said she could never keep me in, like even as a 4 or 5-year-old lad, like you had to be out on the beach or out and doing something. Like all the village lads, all the sons of the fishermen always wanted to go out in a boat. You were involved, like there was a lot of work on the beach. You got into a lot of fishing ways without stepping into a boat. First of all, they would cut their bait up before they went to sea. They had seine nets, they had salmon seines, mullet seines. You know, mullet seine would cover mackerel and bass. Salmon in May and June. They'd sit on the beach waiting for the salmon to jump. Also, in the summer, they would mix in a bit of long lining, mostly for skate, but sometimes they would what we call shoot for crab bait, conger eels. So we used to untangle all the long lines when they were out crabbing. So if they decided to go long lining when they came in, all the lines would be ready and clear for them. And we spent summers on the beach doing that. For all the work they'd done long lining, and this was after they'd done crabbing, their main activity, they shared up £120 each of them. And that was, you know, for a summer. This would be about 1960, something like that. So they had 120 quid each for Christmas. That was their skate money. And that was a job all the village kids wanted to go lanting. We used to call it lanting, you know, which is another name for sand deals, lance, like, or launce in it, they call them. But they used to take the village kids, because as you were only going parallel to the shore, it was like a day out for us. Go up to Slapton Sands, you know, all the kids in the boat. And then you jump ashore and the men would be shooting their nets. Sometimes you'd help them until you got fed up. Well, as you got a bit older, like, you would go out with them, obviously. They used to all by hand, the two men in the boat, so you couldn't get in between them because it was done in sequence. One man behind the other, all in by hand. There's a lot to learn, but there's only one way to learn it, and that's to be out there with a good bloke that's done it most of his life, and you learn from him. I learned from my father, like. I often said when I was in the Merchant Navy, me and my brother Mike, who was a fisherman, I'll come home and we'll get a boat and go fishing. I think that could have been the worst thing I could have done. Right, fair enough, we were brought up with fishermen here and that, but we'd never done it for a living and took charge of a boat yourself. Going with me father, I learnt hell of a lot in 6 years in an open boat. In a smaller boat, you learn stuff to survive out there. You learn the nitty-gritty. It pays. And we never had no flares, no radios, no life jackets. Nothing in there to save your life, nothing at all. And all the Beesands men have been to sea all their lives like that. And also the tides, you know, you learn the tides. Very essential when working in an area like Pearl Point, Start Point, very strong tides. You only had X amount of time to all these pots. If you missed it by quarter an hour, he was gone underwater and that was it. In the early days, we just navigated with a pocket watch and a compass. Found our way around, like. Quite a busy place, 3 mile off Start Point, 3 to 4 mile where we fished. You know, big vessels in the fog, and you're charging around there just on a compass course, blindfolded really. But all of a sudden, I thought, you know, not the best of thing, charging around you're blind. So I decided to put a radar on. Gave you a lot more confidence in the thick fog. You know, you could see other vessels around you. GPS came about 7 years later. It was Decca in them days. My father had a stroke on his 59th birthday. Got over it in a couple of weeks, but never went back to sea on doctor's orders. Like. So I got in the wheelhouse then, and I found like you wanted to be on deck organising the boys. You also had to be in the wheelhouse navigating your way around. I thought, well, it'll be a bloody sight easier than me struggling with landmarks. I could do it, but it's going to make my life a lot easier. So I put in Decca. You receive these signals from ashore, like You just jotted down the numbers when you drop your end pot over where your marker buoy was, wrote it in the book, and then you could go back the next day if it was thick fog or middle of the night and pick it up. Yeah, big thing. And of course it also opened a lot of channel grounds. It expanded the ground because landmarks, you lose them when you get, say, 10 mile off or something like that. The first boat home each day, there weren't many men ashore, you see. It was always handy to have a knowledgeable person that could work the winch and pull you in on the beach. Of course, when the first boat beached, you had 2 able-bodied fishermen along with 2 or 3 more old-age pensioners ashore. So you had 4 or 5 men then, and as each boat came in, you had another 2. They all worked together. And it was quite an art. Old men taught young men how to go about it.